Today, I'm in a 2020 Ford Expedition XLT. Now, it's not much different than the 2021 other than prices on the 2020 ones are a little lower, but this is Ford's full-size SUV based on the F-150 platform, and today I'm going to review it and show you all the great things about it. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that these rims and tires are not standard for the XLT Expedition. Usually for the standard, you'll get 18-inch rims with all-terrain tires. The dealership, Godin Ford, has changed the rims and tires to be these fuel rims and these BF Goodrich all-terrain tires. Usually you would get all-season tires, but this one has off-road tires on it. And I'll tell you what, they do look pretty good, even though they stick out from the fender by probably an inch. Now, I've never been a fan of darker colors due to the fact that we live in Vegas, and when the sun hits the dark colors, it heats up the car and, you know, it gets really hot. But this magnetic metallic gray is amazing looking, and if you look closely when it hits the sun, you just see all the metallic flakes go off in it, and it just looks fabulous on this car. Alrighty, so moving on to the exterior portion. Now, usually I have my face on camera and I move around the car when I do this, but this time I'm just going to be doing it from behind the GoPro and walking you through the exterior. That's because there's not many quirks and features about this thing. So starting at the front, now you do have the option to LED headlights if you go up a trim level, but this one does not have LED headlights. They are just halogen headlights. They still look good, but for the XLT trim, the way this is configured, they are not LED headlights. And then you have, of course, your big grille with the big Ford badge on the front. Now, here are these big rims I was talking about. These are the fuel rims with the BF Goodrich all-terrain tires on them, and they look pretty good. Do they look a little oversized for this car? Yes, and if you look closely, you can see that they do stick out quite a bit from the side. They're farther out than the actual running boards are. That's what's really funny. So, of course, you have the running boards with the chrome trim on the side. Now, these would be all black if you just stuck with the regular 200A package. But since you did get the 202A on this one, you do get that chrome bit on the side. And, of course, your door handles and mirror caps and everything are painted in this magnetic gray metallic as well. You also have this chrome strip running across the side and around the car all the way to the other side, kind of wrapping it around. Gives it more of a premium look as well. And honestly, I didn't think it would look good with the black mixed with the metallic gray, but the chrome does give the car a little bit more of a premium look. Moving around to the back, you have the large Expedition badge and the Ford badge at the back, of course. Now, what's cool is, and the car's unlocked, so if you press down here, you open the main tailgate, but the Expedition has always had this, and I think this is the coolest thing ever. The Bronco Sport has this. If you press right next to the backup camera, you have an entrance to the back that you can just stick stuff over and put down there. And the taillights are halogen, they are not LED. So the Expedition, in my opinion, it's a great looking SUV. I like the design of it. I can't wait till the next one comes out, which it's been rumored to have the new F-150 headlights on the new one, and that would look cool. But the way this is set up now, I think it looks cool. And I like the rims, even though they look a little oversized. The rims are good looking and they fit the car, even though they're aftermarket. But I just can't wait for the redesign of this. It looks good now, but the redesign, like they redid the F-150, I think it's going to look so much better in the future. Let's move over to the interior. I got some really cool stuff to show. The car really shines on the interior. This is the 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 that powers the Ford Expedition. It makes 375 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. And when it's sent to all four wheels through the four-wheel auto system in the drivetrain, this thing takes off pretty fast. All right, moving on to the interior of the Expedition, I want to start with the gauge cluster where you have your standard 2 dials and large infotainment screen in the center. It's looked like this for a couple years now. On the old F-150s, it looked like this as well. Let's start off with what you get in it. You get your trip information, vehicle information such as tire pressure. You can get a digital gauge view and everything like that. Your towing status, you have your off-road section which shows your pitch and yaw angles and your power distribution. And then you have your settings section where you can configure your driver assistance and everything like that. This interior for the Expedition has been around for a good amount of years now. Mostly every other car in the Ford lineup has been updated. The Expedition is supposed to be getting an update for the 2022 model year, and if you look at photos, it looks like it has like a Mach-E style screen in the center and then an F-150 style digital gauge cluster. So the interior of this is old compared to other Ford models, but it's still pretty good. Let me walk you through it some more. The steering wheel, pretty standard. Volume controls, cruise control section right here. This one does not have automatic cruise control, but if you were to go up to the Limited or the Platinum, let's say, you'd be able to specify automatic cruise control. Let's start on the door panel next. You have automatic windows up front, and then you have manuals in the back. You also get this cool little door handle that you also see on the F-150s, where it's not just something you pull, it is something you grab onto. And then I want to talk about the quality of some of the materials in here. Now, as you go down low, you do get scratchy materials, but up here and on the door armrest and up here and then on the center console and surrounding the center area right here, you do get a lot of soft touch materials, which is pretty nice. Alright, so moving on to the center, you have a drive mode selector, which selects between off-road mode, sport mode, normal mode, eco mode, and that switches it between two-wheel high and four-wheel automatic. And you do not have four-wheel low or four-wheel high options on here, which is a little weird that they would have four-wheel automatic, but that's for sport mode. And then you have your gear selector down here, which if you go into manual mode is controlled by these positive and negative buttons. Moving down to this center under the center control stack, you do have a USB Type-C plug, a USB Type-A plug, and a wireless charger, and that can all be covered up by pressing that in. Moving into the climate control sections, you have a heated steering wheel, heated and cooled seats. Moving up, you do have Sync 3, and it's just standard Sync 3 like they have in the Ford Escapes right now. The only models running Sync 4 are going to be the Mach-E, F-150, and the upcoming Bronco, but you get Sync 3 on the Expedition. Sync 4 will be coming next year. And then you have hill descent control, traction control, your hazard lights, lane keeping assist, and auto off and on for the engine. Now, as for spacing, you get a really deep center console with surprisingly just one 12-volt socket, which I would thought there would be more. And you also get this tray right here with a bunch of coin slots and everything on it as well. And then just like in the F-150, you have an upper glove box area right here, then a pretty good sized lower glove box right there. Very practical vehicle. You also have a dual panel sunroof going from the back to the front, and that is controlled by buttons up here. I've never liked how you have to press it twice if you want to open it past the middle section, but that's on most cars. I think that's about it for the front seat. Let's move on to the back. All right, moving on to the rear seats of the Expedition. You get plenty, and I mean plenty of room. There is a foot of knee room right here. And this isn't even the max model, so that is, it's just insane how much room. These seats are very comfortable, and the armrests are very comfortable as well. Starting on the door, you also have that same mechanism to open the door. You just have a window switch, nothing important. Then soft touch materials up on the upper dash. You have back seat pockets right here for holding anything that are pretty deep and also are not plastic or netting. They feel nice. Down in the middle, you have two USB Type-A's, which I think is still good, believe it or not. A lot of people still use USB Type-A to plug stuff in and not USB Type-C, so I think USB Type-A is good to at least have one. And then over here you have a 150 watt house socket. And then you also have your third climate zone for the back seats as well. A pretty cool feature that you can also do is you can control the volume of the media up front with buttons back here, and you can also change the media function you're on, whether you want to be on AM, FM, or satellite. All right, moving on to the third row. Now, like I said, there is plenty of legroom back here. You have at least 4 inches of legroom. Now, what's cool is you can electrically operate the seats back here, which I've not seen before in this segment of large full-size SUVs. Is that you can actually electrically operate the third row seats. Now, as for some of the creature comforts back here, you have a USB port and then a 12-volt socket back here, and then you have a cup holder here and some storage bins. Now, you can also electrically fold the second row, but you cannot electrically raise them. You have to go around and raise them yourself. But it's very practical, and there is plenty of room to store stuff in the cargo area. And then down here as well is where you have all your tools. Now your spare tire is under the car, but all your tools to install the spare tire are going to be right here. So that's pretty cool. And then you also have some storage bins here for storage right here and right here. And then you have lights so you can see if it's dark outside. But pretty intuitive and practical third row. All right, so driving the 2020 Expedition XLT. Before I get started on how it feels, I will point out that there are aftermarket tires on this. They are off-road tires, BF Goodrich tires on this. So the ride is going to be a little different than if you were to have the standard regular all-season tires that come on the Expedition. And I've been in one with the regular all-season tires and with these tires, and they don't drive too much differently. So for technology's sake, it's good, but it's not what the future holds for the Expedition. If you look, there have been leaked photos of the demo vehicles going around for the 2022s. They have kind of a Mach E style screen in the center, a fully digital gauge cluster like the F-150, and it still has the 3.5 liter, I believe it still has the 3.5 liter V6 that this one has, which is a great engine for this. This is clearly built on the F-150 platform, and it's a big, comfortable SUV. That's definitely for sure. You get all your creature comforts, tire pressure monitoring system. You get your pitch and yaw angles for off-roading, because this one does have the four-wheel drive package on it. You get plenty of drive modes, including a bunch of off-road ones like mud and ruts, slippery, sand. You also have a sport mode. When you switch the drive mode over to sport, it changes the drivetrain from two-wheel high to four-wheel automatic. Now this doesn't have four-wheel low or four-wheel high because it doesn't have the FX4 off-road package. Now if you got that, you would get those two drivetrain modes. For comfort and ride, now this is just an XLT, but it has the 202A package. Now what that means is you get heated and cooled front seats. You get a heated steering wheel. You get the dual zone climate control, which I believe comes standard with just the regular 200A. And you get a bunch of those creature comforts that you'd want in a big SUV. Now that is an expensive package, I believe $3,300. And I'll put the exact price up on the screen. So back to ride, it's very comfortable to drive and surprisingly very easy to drive. And it kind of wafts over bumps and it just stays planted on the road. The suspension takes care of most of what you're going to feel. The tires are very big, and that's part of the reason it's so comfortable. These tires have an even thicker tire wall, which absorbs more of the vibrations. Steering is incredibly light. You could turn it with a pinky, and steering tightens up in sport mode. For practicality's sake, again, amazingly practical. Tons of room in the back, tons of room up front. I mean, I think my seat's pretty far back right now, and it probably still gives the rear passengers, when sitting down, probably a good 12 inches of knee room. And plenty of headroom as well. I believe the dual panel sunroof that is on this car takes up some headroom due to the mechanism to move it back and forward, but that's fine. Now, if I put my foot down, and I'm in normal mode right now, I just put my foot down. It takes a second to kick down, not very long, but I went from 50 to 70 relatively quick, so passing power's there. Again, 3.5 liter V6 making 375 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. That's plenty of power for something like this. And the people who are actually buying this car, one, they're not going to have these BF Goodrich tires with these fuel rims. It's very comfortable and powerful. Most of the people driving these cars are not going to be taking them off-road. They're just going to be city cars and highway cruisers and things like that. So for that purpose, it's a great driving car. It's not incredibly fast. Ford didn't design this car to be incredibly fast. I'm very curious about if they're going to come out with a hybrid or an electric version of this car, which I'm sure they are within the next 5 years, especially with the 2022 refresh coming up. I can't wait to review that car. The technology in that car is going to be insane, just like the F-150s. And it's going to be built on the same F-150 platform. It looks bigger. If you look at pictures, it looks more boxed off and bigger. So I'm excited to see what the Expedition is going to transform into when it comes to the new model year. The driving experience is very good. Again, going up a hill right now, put my foot into it. Takes a second to kick down. But even going uphill, if you were in an inline 4, nudge at the 2.3 liter in the Explorer, probably wouldn't have that much power, but this has a lot of torque, and it's low down torque since this is a twin turbocharged engine. So it gets you up hills decently fast. And again, we were just going up a slight incline. It's a great driving car. Definitely would recommend this car for the driving experience. That is if you want comfort. If you want sportiness, maybe a Mustang would be better for you. And that is the 2020 Ford Expedition XLT. It's a great full-size SUV, tons of practicality, good amounts of technology, and stuff that you don't see in other full-size SUVs. So, I think it's amazing. Now, if you like the video, go ahead down below and smash that like button. And if you want to see more from us, go ahead and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video.